Hey there. Are you ready to, really dive into the world of leather backpacks?
I am.
We're talking Steel Horse Leather today.
Okay.
A company that's all about, you know, handcrafting these really rugged bags that just built to last. But before we get into it, tell me a little bit about what draws you to a leather backpack in the first place.
Yeah, you hit on something there with just the idea that, most backpacks are kind of mass produced, and these feel like they have a little bit more soul.
Right.
Like you can tell that somebody put their heart into making them.
Yeah, and they talk about that on their website. They've got this great article called Top Quality Handcrafted Genuine Leather Rucksack Backpacks for Hiking and Camping.
That's a mouthful.
But they really get into, what makes these backpacks last.
Yeah.
And, they're talking about these things becoming heirlooms.
Right.
Like they're going to be imbued with, the memories of your adventures. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're not just selling a product, they're selling like an experience. Like this is going to be your companion on all of your journeys.
Totally. And speaking of journeys, they actually say that you can take these things hiking.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They bust that myth that a leather backpack is just for, looks.
Yeah.
They're saying that these things are water resistant, they're super durable, you could take them on a weekend hike, or you could literally trek across the country with them.
So they're really saying, go ahead, take that spontaneous detour. Your backpack has got your back.
Exactly.
Just
I love
lazy.
that. Okay, so let's talk about some specifics because they've got a whole line of these backpacks. But the one that caught my eye was the Gaetano. It's their big leather camera bag.
Oh, what I love about that is that it speaks to a very specific passion. You're out there, you're exploring a market, you're seeing the world, and that perfect shot appears. You don't want to be caught fumbling around with your backpack trying to get to your camera.
Right.
They have those quick access pockets, so you're ready to capture the moment as it happens.
And it's not just like a photographer's bag either.
Right.
They have all these other ones with really cool descriptions, like
Yeah.
the Asman backpack. They call it this bohemian allure backpack that's ready for anything.
I love that.
It's giving me very Indiana Jones vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just begging to be filled up with journals and little souvenirs that you pick up along your travels.
It's funny that you picked up on that because they really do lean into that kind of romantic idea of travel on their website.
Yeah.
It's like they understand that a backpack can be more than just a bag, It's like an extension of your personality. It's like how you see the world.
Totally.
And so they bring in all these little details. Like they talk about the craftsmanship that goes into it, using full grain leather and all these different, stitching techniques.
Well, they talk about the materials a lot. They use metal hardware. They don't use plastic.
Exactly.
It's they don't cut corners.
Yeah, and they're really into the details. They'll talk about how the leather will age over time, and it'll get this really cool look to it.
Oh yeah, they use the term patina. What is that exactly?
It's like that sheen that develops on leather over time.
Okay.
It's kind of like how how wood gets richer looking over time. It's like that, but for leather.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a very good thing. It shows that the leather is high quality. And it's developing its own story,
I like that.
Yeah.
So we're talking full grain, leather, heirloom quality, built for adventure. It does sound kind of amazing.
It does.
But are there any downsides? What would you say is the trade-off of going with a Steel Horse leather backpack?
That's a good question. I would say one thing considers the weight.
Okay.
Because leather, especially, good quality leather, it can be a little heavier than a synthetic material.
That makes sense.
So if you're someone who's really into ultralight backpacking, that might be something to keep in mind.
Okay, so weight is one. What about the cost? Because they kind of position these as an investment piece.
Yeah, you're not going to find these at a bargain basement price. But they are very upfront about their pricing on the website. And they actually break it down for you. They talk about how they source their materials. They talk about the craftsmanship that goes into it. You're really paying for that quality and that attention to detail.
I do appreciate that transparency, though.
Yeah.
It's they're not trying to hide anything. They're proud of how they make these bags.
Exactly, and they stand behind their product.
Yeah, exactly. They're we're not afraid to tell you how much it costs to make a quality product.
Yeah.
And they're basically making the argument that, you should buy less and buy better.
Right.
Which I can get behind.
Totally.
And one thing that I thought was really interesting about their site, they've got this whole section called the journal.
Okay.
And it's full of stories and articles about the leather working process. They have profiles on their artisans.
Wow.
They even have travel guides inspired by places that people have taken their backpacks.
That's awesome.
I thought it was so cool.
It's a really clever way to build like a whole community around the brand.
Right.
It's not just about buying a backpack. It's like you're joining a club.
Totally. It's like for people who appreciate like well-made things and they like to travel and they want something that's going to last.
Exactly.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think is a steel horse leather backpack, like the right choice for your next adventure?
I mean, I think it checks a lot of boxes for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking for something that's, high quality and, will last you a long time.
And it's got that cool factor too.
It does. It does. I mean, I think ultimately it comes down to personal preference.
Oh, really?
But at least, going into it, like what they're all about.
Exactly. After this deep dive, you're pretty much an expert.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you know more than you did before.
That's true. That's true.
But I think that's a good place to wrap up for today.
Yeah.
So what are your like final thoughts? Like what should people keep in mind as they're like looking for their like perfect backpack?
I think the biggest thing is just to think about what's important to you. Like what do you value in a product? Is it the quality? Is it the story behind it? Is it the way that it makes you feel? Once you figure that out, then you can start narrowing down your choices.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Like don't just grab the first backpack you see.
Yeah.
Really think about it.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome.
Yeah, this was fun.
I always love a good deep dive into like, quality craftsmanship.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
It is inspiring. All right, everybody. Until next time, happy adventuring.
See you later.